because for some of the reason, people want to do the home delivery at home. However, the delivery person has not been trained, or it's in an unsanitary or unhygienic, qualified environments, and very easy it will transfer to the newborn babies. So the neonatal tetanus, it's a big risk. Okay, this is a lock job or a lock story. At the end of the day, why it will cause you die? Because it will be prevent you to do the respiration. The reason is the respiratory muscle has been completely locked, okay, completely tight. Okay, that's what happened for the tetanus. Basically, I would say there is no typical very easy method to do the prevention. What happened is for botulism, for the botulism methods, we have a lot of toxins. We have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In the United States, basically it's A, B, E. And the E is usually for fish. What type of the fish is canned fish? So for the botulism, most of the toxin in the United States is AB. Now, how are we going to do the treatments? Once you have these type of the symptoms, you go to the reference lab, go to see the doctor. The doctor has to call the airport. In the south part, the CDC has to connect it to the airport. I don't know here, in the south part, it is in Atlanta, Georgia, Atlanta. And the airport will shipping the antitoxin. And usually, it might be from a horse. So that's called anti-equine toxin. It's typically toxin A and toxin B. So that's what this slide says. You have to use the toxin. You have to do the antibiotics, but you have to do the antitoxin to neutralize the toxin. And where the toxin comes from, you connect it with the CDC. CDC will call the airport, and they will ship the anti-equine toxin. It's coming from the horse. And in the south part, basically, is at Georgia, Atlanta airport is a big place to ship in those toxins. But more important, we already mentioned, the key is DTaP, is a vaccine. If you do a vaccination, you should be very good to prevent this disease. Okay? This is the slides which tells you the little bit of mechanism behind botulism and tetanus. So what happens, you can see, we could just redraw it and then make sure you understand it very well, and because we separated it. So muscle contraction and relaxing, there is a need neurotransmitter. So we just run like this. They need to release the neurotransmitter. The neurotransmitter basically has two, which is acetylcholine, CHO, and glycine. And acetylcholine basically is for muscle contraction. And the glycine is for muscle relaxing. Okay, if I have some toxin, let's say a botulinum toxin, this toxin will block contraction. So what happens? Muscle will always relaxing. This is kind of floppy baby. Now how about tetanus? Tetanus toxin will be blocked glycine. So your muscle will not be relaxing. So what happened will be the permanent muscle contraction. If you have a permanent muscle contraction, what's going to happen is a lock jaw. And finally, it will be tough respiratory muscle, so you cannot breathe. So this is what happens for botulism toxin and the tetanus toxin. And basically is contract with each other. Is vice versa, one way or the other, if you know that. Okay. So that's botulism and the tetanus toxin. The next one, Clostridium perfringens. Clostridium perfringens, we want to give you an example what happened for that. You can understand about that. It's a little bit different from others, but it's a lot similar. So Clostridium perfringens. Clostridium perfringens will cause a very typical symptom, looks like that, called gas gangrene. Gangrene. So what happened? Where it comes from? We'll give you an example. Lots of the time, it's a true story. It's a professor at University of Louisville. He has his wife and the dog and his children want to go hiking one day. So in the morning, he prepared a hot pot. Okay, what the hot pot he put it in? First of all, you're going to have some beef, okay? So he put beef stew. Then what he put? A tomato. And then what? Potato. And some of the other vegetables. Okay, maybe a little bit seasoning stuff. Okay, of course you're going to put salt in. And very interesting, he did a long time, low temperature cooking. What's the temperature he set up at this hot pot? 50 degrees Celsius. How long? 6 to 8 hours. Now we want to analyze what happened in this hot pot. Okay, beef extracted there. What will generate? If you put a beef extract in a hot pot, when you cook it will turn it brownish. Very looks like your bacterial media because beef extract. That is enough for bacteria to grow. Tomato, potato, another vegetables, where they come from? Soil. And I mentioned a couple times, it's important for the contaminants of the Clostridium. Okay, when you cooking 50 degrees Celsius, you put a salt there. What this means? Majority of the vegetative cells will be dying. So this process killing 90% vegetative cells. And remember, this is a good environment for endospore to generate. Why? A mild heat is a kind of stress. We call it a heat stress. And this is a good environment for endospore to forming. So very easy question. Why endospore can form, can survive calcium diprotonic acid, is that right? And small acid soluble DNA protein. So you have cooked 6-8 hours. The beef is very soft, and the soup is really good to go. When they go hiking, we come home. Everybody have one bowl, and a couple. The dog have some. 3 or 6 hours later, the whole family have vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. Then they go to University of Louisville Medical Center, like our Louis Hospital. They did a true story. What's the mistakes they generate? This is a good environment for indoor sport to form. So what we should avoid? It is a very easy way to avoid bacterial indoor spore for typically Clostridium perfringens in the home environment is to keep cold food cold and to keep cooking foods hot. It's a very easy message. How are we going to transfer our practice? Avoid dangerous temperature zone. What is the dangerous temperature zone? 40 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 4 to 60 degrees Celsius. Very important information. We did a survey before. What is the refrigerator temperature? Averagely in the United States family, 7 degrees Celsius. That is not good. It is a dangerous temperature zone. This family made a mistake. They are heating at 50 degrees Celsius. It is also not hot enough because it could cause the beef is very tender. However, it's generating a very good environment for the indoor sport to happen. Okay, so that's something we want to mention. It's very interesting. And a very easy way is avoid the dangerous temperature zone. And very easy to remember is 40 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what you like. And 4 and 60 degrees Celsius. I like degrees Celsius. Okay, so that's the translation of the temperature. What's a gas gangrene will be causing? Gas gangrene is a very horrible symptom. It also starts from the intestinal area, could be transferred. What happened is, let's say this is the bloodstream. Okay, let's say this is the bloodstream. This is some muscle right here. The muscle should be connected. Gas gangrene started from, you have any of these type of the space between that, the Clostridium perfringens will going to survive it. And then they will generate some enzymes. This enzyme could break down the sugar of muscle, protein of the muscle. And what will happen? The muscle is starting to separate. Once they separated, what will generate? A gas will be filled here. It's all gas. Once all the gas generated, what happened? This is the pressure. And don't forget there's something at the bottom. So up and down the pressure generated by the Clostridium, they will be squeezed the bloodstream. And you don't have, let's say this is the liver. You don't have enough blood to go there. The same thing, very similar, but a different way, like Staphylococcus aureus. This is also will cause shock. Toxication shock. Okay, which means you have a coma and later on you're going to die. That's what happened. So be careful about this dangerous temperature zone. You have to really follow the guidelines. Otherwise, don't do low temperature, long time cooking. It's a very dangerous method to do. Some traditional way to cooking like Swiss vide, if you want to do that, the pre-harvest and the pre-cooking treatment has to do very well. And even those meat, you may have to do preheating before you put onto the hot pot. If you directly go to the hot pot, sometimes those tomatoes, those potatoes, you do the steam first, the hot steam first, a little bit, like 3-5 minutes. Then you go to the hot pot, it really helps a little bit. Okay? So that is what for gas gangrene. Now, why we can diagnose and we can find this Clostridium perfringens really quick. It has a very typical characteristics, which is on blood agar, this pathogen will generate double beta hemolytic zone. Instead of you only have one beta hemolytic, there is a double beta hemolytic. Okay, so that's very easy to do using a blood agar. So this is gas gangrene. Okay, next one, the last one, Clostridium difficile. We also talk about this one, very interesting topic for the Clostridium difficile. It's not recognized by many people a long time ago, but later on, people start to recognize it. So the last Clostridium, which is Clostridium difficile. Clostridium difficile, acronym CDIF. So easy to understand, CDIF. Well, it will cause this one. This is a hospital acquired. Therefore, we have a terminology called nosocomial infection. How is it acquired? It is intensive using antibiotics. Typically is amoxicillin, penicillin, and ampicillin, for example, for about a week. And then you will have bloody water diarrhea. And in your colon area, you will have pseudomembrane colitis. What is the pseudomembrane colitis looks like? Look at the picture in the colon area. Most of these are red, then you will have those pus. It's a pseudomembrane colitis. So, very typical example. 70 years old grandma go to hospital. Originally, she has ammonia. Then the doctor gave her amoxicillin, continued to using for 7 days, for a week. She started to have water diarrhea, bloody diarrhea. And then, if you look at the intestinal, the colon area, pseudomembrane colitis. That is hospital-acquired disease. Okay? Okay, how are we going to diagnose it? This is the AB toxin. So, you have to do serological typing of the toxin. Now, AB toxin, we already mentioned it before. What is the A toxin domain? It's enterotoxin. It is the enterotoxin. Enterotoxin causes inflammation. Somehow here is colitis. How about B toxin? Cytotoxin. Cytotoxin will cause bleeding. That's an AB toxin. So physiological typing of the AP toxin. And now we want to talk about treatment. How are we going to do the treatment? Number one, think about this. You are using antibiotics continually for 7 weeks, or for 7 days. What this means? Your normal bacteria has been destroyed almost. There's no normal bacterial community in your body. So what we do? You're going to drink some lactic acid-based products to put a normal bacteria back if it's mild symptoms. So the first method, what we can do, drink fermented dairy products. Those products usually is rich in lactic acid bacteria. And we want to put a normal bacteria back, and sometimes bifidobacteria, okay? Second method, very ironic. It causes this problem is we are using amoxicillin, penicillin about a week. So, instead of using amoxicillin and penicillin, use another antibiotic. For example, vancomycin. Now, why we can use vancomycin, we will mention later on, because the attacking points of the bacteria are different. We'll talk about we'll talk about on Thursday, okay, why we can use vancomycin. But it's very ironic. Number 3 method, this is for very severe symptoms. Fecal transplant. This sounds horrible. Think about it. You already been suffering for a couple of weeks, and the doctor tells you, you're going to take out all your stool samples. You're going to put other people's poop into your body. Is that sounds horrible? Yeah, very horrible. So the last thing we do is fecal transplant. But why we have to do it? Because we have to put normal bacteria back to body. This is what we talk about in the first slide. Remember here, if you go back to see, fecal sample, 33% is bacterial cells. That's why you can do fecal transplant. Although it sounds horrible, but in a life-threatening situation, this is the only method you can do to survive if the both of these doesn't work. Okay? So that's, we talk about for Clostridium difficile. Clostridium difficile originally is only hospitalized. The person will have. However, I believe because this method is used a lot, for somehow this pathogen has to start to transfer to the food supply chain. So, around 10 years ago, this CDIF is an emerging, under-researched pathogen for the food safety. So some people start to do research about the CDIF. But a couple of years ago, not many people talk about this anymore. Might be not many outbreaks related to that. Okay, we just want to let you know it's already being emerged into the food supply chain. Okay, these slides I will be talking about it short because this is all food waterborne pathogen. This could be taught a whole class, which is actually talk about the food microbiology. This is the food pathogen. So I want to talk very simple, quickly. Okay. Salmonella typhimurium. By the way, this is the typing is wrong. I mentioned in my first class, typhimurium has to be normal, not italic, because it's a subspecies name, it's not a species name. Salmonella typhimurium, poultry, eggs, and animals. Okay, Salmonella typhi. Wherever you see this guy, Salmonella typhi. This is a horrible story behind it. It's not Salmonella typhi murine, Newport, or Hindenburg, or those things. That's called a non-typhi. Salmonella typhi will cause typhi fever. It is related to a woman called Typhi Mero. She is a cooker in New York State back in 1910. She never had a problem by herself, but started to transfer the symptoms to the other people. And surrounded with her, 10 people died. So in 1920s, she was under custody for NYPD, for New York State Police Department. Something like people have to do in COVID-19 in some of the countries. Isolated completely, quarantined. And a couple of years later, she started to recover and to come back. And she became a bookkeeper in a company. And then, again, transferred to lots of people. And about like 3 people died. Then later on, the NYPD has to put her back to custody again. So basically, the rest of her life is in the prison. Not really a prison, it's a hospitalized prison. She died actually with a lung infection in 1960s. And the people find it very interesting. How come everybody else is getting infected, she's always survived? Because people find until 2013, the Stanford University find in her macrophage in spleen, they protected Salmonella typhi. Almost 50, 60 years later, people get isolated from spleen sample, which is a Salmonella typhi packaged with a macrophage. And you can do a Google search for her. There's a big story behind it. So Salmonella typhi is different from what we talk about Salmonella typhi murine and Newport, all the other pathogens. Those we call it non-typhi. So the one what we care about in the poultry egg products is honestly less toxication. And this one is much more toxicated. Okay. Vibrio chloral will cause chloral. You're going to lose lots of water. So the first thing for chloral you have to do is a rehydration. It's all for the seafood. Okay, Shigella. Shigella will cause Shigella toxin, similar to E. coli 015-7H7. What type of the people is a bigger risk for Shigella? Is daycare kids. Because they go to restroom, they didn't clean very well, and they go touch this, touch that, then transfer Shigella.